Modal harmony, the thing that'll make you realize you've been using chords all wrong. Every mode has a unique character, a sound that defines it, and it's through modal harmony that you can unlock every emotional color in your palette. No more guessing, no more wondering, why does this sound just like a plain major or plain minor? This is the boot camp where you'll learn why chords like E, 7 sharp 9, add 13 exist, and more importantly, how to actually use them. And I guarantee if you watch this all the way through, I'll show you how you can mix functional and modal harmony to get more progressions most people can't even fathom. First, we gotta get you up to speed, and that starts with modal harmony. To make it simple, unlike functional harmony, where all the chords are made to create clear tensions and resolution, modal harmony focuses on creating chords with their own unique colors that don't necessarily have to resolve anywhere. You see, functional harmony is like your valedictorian, clear cut, they know where they're going, one track mind. Modal harmony is like that one pothead in high school that still gets good grades. Oh, and by the way, if you want to learn more about functional harmony, which I highly recommend you do if you don't, click on this video because that is the first video in this two-part series. Moving on. So how do we use modal harmony? We have C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, and B diminished. And using functional harmony, I may go from a tonic chord like my 1, move away using a subdominant chord like a 4, create tension using a dominant chord like a G to resolve back to 1 chord like my C. But what if I want to add like a Lydian flavor to the entire progression? Well, in order to do that, I have to remember how Lydian comes from the Ionian mode. Very simply, we just sharpen the 4th, which means if F is a 4th in C major, C Ionian, to make it feel like C Lydian, we should make that F and turn it into F sharp. I can go in here and take this F and bump it up. Here's what it sounds like now. It's ever so different. Now maybe that's not enough. Maybe I really want to go full force on this and add an F sharp somewhere else. Now normally the 7th chord of G in a C Ionian is going to be G dominant 7. I'm actually going to sharpen that to make it F sharp. And let's see how this sounds like now. All right, all of a sudden we're really starting to see more of that flavor come through. Now I'm about to get really crazy with this, so you might have to watch this part a couple times, but I'll try to explain it as best I can. Let's take this G chord, which is now G major 7. I could make this chord sound Lydian in and of itself by assuming that G here is now the root note. And I mean root note for the entire progression. So I'm temporarily removing myself from the key of C and going to G just for a little bit in this specific chord. So right now we're in G, and I want to make a sharp 4 in this chord in and of itself, which for G would be 1, 2, 3, 4, which would be B. That's a regular 4. We'll bring it down here. However, I want to make this sharp because I want this to be Lydian in and of itself. So I'm even going to sharpen this C. Now this chord's probably not going to sound all that great by itself. I mean, let's give it a listen. It's a bit dissonant. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove the 5. And the reason I'm removing the 5 is because really I'm just flattening it, which would be the enharmonic equivalent of a sharpened 4. And because a 5 is so implied in so many chords, when we remove it, we're not really changing the flavor of the chord so much as we're just removing a little bit of its stability. So now let's see how this sounds. Definitely less cluttered, but it has a unique type of dissonance in it. Oh, and by the way, this chord has now become a G major 7 flat 5. Yeah, we're getting into the crazy chords now. Now I could keep this resolving to C like this. Or I could give this some Mixolydian flavor by turning this into a dominant 7 chord. Sounds pretty awesome, but why stop there? I mean, what if I wanted to add like another version of Mixolydian in this? Well, I could keep this G and make it major on top of this D. And now I have what is C add 9 chord. The reason why this is 9, right, is C is 1, D 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 8 would be the C, the higher octave. D above that would then be 9. Now you can see we have a G, the chord, which is mixolydian within this resolution. See how this sounds like. That sounds really pretty, I think. So now, as promised, I'm going to mix modal harmony with functional harmony to create a really cool chord progression. So to start, we're going to keep C major. And then we're going to get this Lydian flavor again, because I'm really liking how Lydians sound, and create this F sharp diminished chord by having this F sharp A C. Now I can keep this Lydian flavor going by creating a G major flat 5 chord like we did last time. And we'll keep this F sharp in here just for kick. And as you can see, we have a 1, a 4, and a 5. So I'm using functional harmony by going from C to a variation F to a variation of G. But now I want to get away from C as the tonic and maybe make it G. And a way to do that is I think about the 5th of G major, which would be a D dominant 7th chord. But now I'm going to pull a similar trick to what I did over here and make this a major flat 5 to give it more of those Lydian tendencies. This makes us now the 4, right, of a scale, because it's no longer a dominant 7, it's a major 7. So the 4, if D is a 4, that would actually make A the new tonic. So I'm going to create A major 7 in the next little piece here. E. Now I'm going to get a little bit crazy and remove the tonic, which leaves us with a D flat minor chord. It shares most of that A major 7, but without the tonic, which now means that this can really resolve in a multitude of directions. So we can make this resolve as a D minor 7 chord to bring it back to this idea of C. Let's hear what that sounds like. Very cool. I can make this a D major 7 and pull it in a completely different direction. I really like that sound. And again, I'm just going from this like 5-1 chord. This is kind of like a perfect cadence, right? So instead, maybe I'll do a plagal cadence and make the A infer a 4. And let's do this minor version again. So as you can see, this is where music gets really, really cool. You can combine simple concepts like functional harmony and modes and modal harmony. And we even threw in a little bit of the circle of fifths there to create these really cool, complex ideas. So now it's your homework. I want you to try to use modal harmony by taking the chord blocks that you wrote in the functional harmony section, i.e. last video, and alter the modes within each chord block and see what flavor it gives you. And then try juxtaposing modes together to see how they relate. Also, if you haven't yet, this video is part of an even larger video series that will take somebody who's never even looked at an instrument before to being able to compose a full orchestral score. So if you want to follow along with these videos, go ahead and click the link in the description below. And that way, you can write your own piece with us, and by the end of all these videos, you will have a professional grade game orchestral score for your portfolio. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next lesson.